what really happened in Europe that got you fired from the WWF? Was there an incident? Right, forget about the rest of the question. What really happened?
Oh God, Nick Buckle hated me, and for good reason. I didn't discover that till later. I used to hang with his younger half brother, Dennis, and I smoked pot. This is way back in the early '80s. Very, when we don't smoke marijuana with Skokie and everything. It was long, long, long ago. And his brother was pothead. But his brother was a stone cold junkie as well. And as I learned, I had family members that were involved in an addiction, out of control over their heads. Anybody that they knew, anybody that, and if you ever may ever have a relative or someone close to you, that's deeply rooted into physically, mentally destructive addiction. Everybody you see with them, anybody that's close to them, anybody that they even talk to, you hate. You're just guilty by association. So all the people that I saw that were talking to him, or friends with him, or knew him, or just said hello to him, I hated him. So that I was pretty much, and there was only two, the Dennis Bachman, Dennis Stamp, and myself, and we're the same. We're the Greg Gagne and Brunzell, and a couple of, they came by later, but they lived in the area, and they were, they're pretty much on their own, and they were congenial guys, nice guy, Patera, Ric Flair. After a while, but these are the early times when I was around Dennis, and the two Dennises, Stamp and Bockwinkel, had the ring truck. So all these other guys, Bockwinkel, Larry Henning, all the baby Robinsons, they all had families and kids and everything else. And I was 20 years old. I didn't know, my hand from a handbag. I didn't know nothing. So I'd go out on the road and I'd get, to a town or something where you have Stamp and Bachman, the two guys, they're college age, university age, 20s, in their early 20s. So I'd hang with those guys, rather than not all the time, but rather than the big hotels where us big stars were at, I'd be with the jabronis with the ring, which was cool. But by being his friend, and being acquaintances with Dennis, got Nick to hate me, and Nick, which was reason, and I reasoned it late years after, which was surprising because he and Lord Blears were such close friends, and he spent so much time in Hawaii, and I knew him before I started wrestling, and I knew him from down at Neo Street home where the Blearses had. Everybody had always been cool and nice, and Nick was but by the time, so he got to Minnesota, got the championship belt, had his run. I'd been in and out, and I couldn't take Minnesota. I left. Then I went to Florida, traveled around, finally ended up in New York, WWE, WWF, and we had and word has it that he came to Tally, that they didn't want to fire me. They didn't want to let me go because I'd been too much to the organization, too much to the company. So they wanted to bring somebody in that was like a neutral party to them, to cause my termination, to cause my departure. So we went to Europe, and he was on me and on me and on me. And finally down, and I just snapped one time. Don't, you want to get up, you want to go for the belt here, which was, Vince called me. He said, "You can't treat my agents like that." I said, "Yeah, Vince, you're right." Then I was pretty well burned out by then. I'd had my run on the road and my run there, and I needed to get back to Hawaii like I did, and it had been a while. So I said, okay. And that was it. I said, thanks. I thanked Vince, thanked everybody. And then several years later, it was Tally Ho, and I talked to Lord Blair's, and he says, yeah, Nick, was he and Nick still corresponded? He says, yeah, it seems to think that they brought him in just to, purposely because he came in after he dropped the title and he came in as an agent on the road. And they used to call him Captain Pecker Checker because he'd stand over there and he'd watch you when you're taking, because they started the urine test. And they started for the cocaine and stuff. And he'd get right down in there, and so he got the name Pecker Checker, and then and later on, and he would just riding me, and I didn't need to be ridden, and I was still a bucking bronc on those days, and that was pretty much it. I offered him the room, and which would have been stupid then too, but it was being subjugated to Dynamite and Davey Boy and those guys for a whole week took me to another place.
Were they needling you as well? So you can't let him talk to you like this. Were they basically winding you up as well?
I don't know if they were winding me up, but they're sure loosening me up.